Hey Bookends! Welcome to this week's 10-minute book review. I'm 10. So this week's book review is going to be on Shaker by C.C. Preston. Full disclosure, we received this book as an art copy via NetGalley for free for the purpose of review. So as you may see, I am alive for this review. That's because I was able to get some rest in, my medicine start working, and so yes, no more chronic fatigue for the moment. So jumping right on in, we like to start every review with a star point, as in out of 10 stars, how many stars does this book honor? And we also like to give a rating. As in, if this was a TV show or a book, what would it be rated? Star point, this is a 10 out of 10. The world building and story and plot are all on point. So definitely a 10 out of 10. For the rating, I would say a PG-13. It does discuss war and violence and death, but not to a degree that I think someone 13 and older will have an issue with. I think someone maybe younger than 13 will probably have an issue with it, but someone 13 and up would be fine. So the story starts with Mike Taylor, who is the main protagonist, waking up in like this kind of a gated box. Like if you could imagine having a fence on either side of you, then a fence beneath you and a fence on top of you and on all sides. So kind of like a cell, kind of like a prison cell, except the bottom is open. Like it's not open, but it's like a fence, like a fence. He's not alone. He wakes up and there's hundreds of other people around him, and he's confused. Nobody knows why they're here. Everyone's in the same kind of cell. Nobody knows why they're there, what's going on, why this is happening. People have different theories as to what's happening and why. It turns out, this is not a spoiler, because you're probably going to figure this out anyway. It turns out that they've been abducted by aliens, and each one was abducted, of course, when they were by themselves, but under different circumstances. And Mike was one of the few people who really had no one left behind to miss him. I mean, of course, he had family and some friends, but he had been divorced for about a year. He had lost his baby girl in a car accident. So he's still relatively young. Like, he's not an older dude. I think he's like 30 maybe. And so he's still relatively young, but most of his ties have been broken either by life removing them from him or, you know, yeah, life removing them from him. So he, I don't want to say makes friends, because it's like, you know, what are you gonna do? You're stuck. But he kind of makes alliances almost with people on the ship with him, certain people on the ship with him. One guy is incredibly smart. Another guy who's a bit older takes on a leadership capacity. And then there's a woman there who's like a fitness guru. All three of them have someone to miss. Well, I don't think the smart guy has anyone to miss. He's kind of young. I don't know. But what ends up happening is the robots who are their guardians while they're on the ship. My son was making noises, so I lost my train of thought. Yeah, so, yes, that's what I was saying. So when the caretakers of the ship that they're on, who are robots, come to get them, they find out that not too much, aside from the fact that they're being rotated so that they can move their bodies so they don't atrophy. They get fed some type of food that doesn't taste that great, but doesn't taste that bad either. One interesting thing is that they're packed on top of each other, and their cells are packed directly above each other. So when someone has to alleviate waste, their sink and their toilet are the same thing. So when someone has to alleviate waste, you know, if they don't use enough water to wash the waste out, then the person down beneath them can smell it. And so Mike said that he appreciated, by the way, this is the first person, so Mike is telling it to you. But yeah, he appreciates that he ended up on top, like on the top of it instead of towards the bottom. But disease starts to spread and things of that nature. Things that would happen if you kept hundreds of people in cages for a prolonged period of time. It kind of made me think about slavery, how the slaves were all planked together on a ship, and how diseases and things of that nature started to take hold. So basically only the strongest really survived, and that's what happened with him as well. So when they arrive on the designated planet that they're supposed to be going to, they find out that they are slave soldiers in a war, like in a civil war on a planet that has nothing to do with them. And there are other people who were kidnapped from Earth there too, including one guy from Australia who kind of acts like their liaison to the aliens that are there. But what's kind of cute is that Mike, while on the ship, he hears this islander woman, and she sounds so pretty. When he sees her, she is pretty. And so they kind of start up this slow burn interracial relationship. And I thought that was so cute because he said the reason why his relationship with his wife when he was married didn't work out was because they started off too soon. And what is that old saying? A candle that burns twice as bright burns out twice as fast. So his relationship with his original wife didn't work out because he said they were too young to make it work. They were too, I don't want to say too in love, but they fell too quickly for each other. So back to Mike. So yes, they become slave soldiers, and they take some of the women for procreation purposes, basically to force them to have sex with other humans who were born there to create more soldiers. Some revolts happen, some fighting happens, some good stuff happens, some horrible stuff happens. I love how the author doesn't make you spend every single moment of every single day with this character. So basically it's from the perspective of, imagine an old man writing a book and saying, okay, this is how I got here, this is what I did when I got here, this is how I survived being here, and this is where I am now. There's comfort for me personally in those kind of books because, one, everything isn't written in present tense, so you know that whatever's happening, there's going to be some kind of resolution to it in this book because not everything is present tense. And also, too, you know that the protagonist, I shouldn't say you know, because there are some books like The Fifth Wave where you think the protagonist is going to survive because it's written in their voice, and then, anyway, that's a whole nother series. So yes, I did enjoy that it was written in his voice, and it's not written in present tense, it's written in past tense, like someone's telling you about something that happened. The pacing was really good. It's not a slow book. It does give you a lot of information, but it doesn't give you too much. So you kind of get a feel for this planet, why the war is happening. And you have to really make a choice for yourself whether or not you think that the war itself is petty or not. I personally thought it was petty. You may not think it's petty, but I think it was kind of a, jerk thing to do, to kind of steal people from another planet and say, here, fight in our war because we don't want our people to die. That would be terrible. It's kind of like if someone was playing chess and they just stole a bunch of people to be their pieces, kind of. That's what it's like in my mind. Like for these people, it's kind of a game. Anyway, I'll let you read the book. But yes, it was well written. It does have a happy ending. Well, it's a bittersweet. I'll say it's a bittersweet ending. And it's a realistic ending. And you may think, how can this be realistic if it's alien abduction? That's so not realistic. But it had a really realistic ending. I did appreciate that. What else was going on in this book? I loved that the characters, like, there was no perfect character. I enjoyed Mike, and I'm so happy that I got to read the book through his eyes because he was likable. Oh, Shaker. And so the reason why the book is called Shaker is because everyone gets a nickname. Just inadvertently, everybody gets a nickname. And he was an English major. And so he would recount stories to people that he remembered. Of course, fudging different parts when he forgot them, but he would recount stories to them. And so he got the nickname Shakespeare, even though he said he never actually said anything from Shakespeare, but whatever. And so Shakespeare got shortened to Shaker. It's a really good book. It's a really good book. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I can tell you that's not going to spoil it, because so many things lead into other things, and I don't want to... I'll say that the ending was satisfying. Even if you're not really into this kind of a genre, or if you find a character in this book that doesn't make it to the end, I will say that the ending was satisfying. So once again, this has been a book review for Shaker by CC Prestel. If you like what you see, please like and subscribe. Bye, Bookends!